Hello, Chemistry 10 and 10H students. This is Mrs. Altman. This video is to help those of you who are having a little bit of trouble with scientific notation. We're going to work through a couple of examples in this video, and also this is a recap of the notes. So these are the same notes from class. I just wanted to quickly go through them. So scientific notation is going to be a number between 1 and 10, followed by a power of 10. So 10 to the 0, 10 to the first, 10 to the second, etc., etc. I have 3 examples here. It does not matter how many decimal places that you have. So 4.23, 1.004. So long as the number is between 1 and 10, it is what is called standard scientific notation. So here are the steps to putting a number into scientific notation. So you move the decimal point from the 0 until you have a number between 1 and 10. If you move the decimal point to the left, meaning that you started with a large number, meaning something greater than 1, the power of 10 will be positive. And then if you moved it to the right, it will be negative. I'm going to work through these examples with you. Some of them are a little bit harder than others. So I'm going to start with the first one, which is 4002. So even though there is not a decimal place there, you can start it, you can actually place it right after the 2. Then what I do is I move the decimal place to the left 3 times. So I get 4.002. And then I moved it to the left, so the power of 10 will be positive. And I moved it 3 times, so it is times 10 to the third power. All right, the second one that I have here is a little bit tricky. It's in non-standard scientific notation. So this one, I admittedly, this would be more of a sort of H-only topic, but it's still worth it to try this one out. So the first thing I do is I put it into regular scientific notation. So my power of 10 is negative. So I move it to the left 2 times. And I get 0.403. But that's still not in scientific notation. So I move my decimal point over to the right 1 time. It's moving to the right, so I make it to the negative power. And I moved it 1 time, so it's -1. For my next one, I start by moving the decimal to the left 2 times. Since I moved it to the left, the power of 10 is positive, and I moved it 2 times, so it is times 10 to the second power. So for this one, I move this to the right 4 times. I moved it to the right, so my power of 10 is negative, and I moved it 4 times, so it is 4. For my next one, it is already a number between 1 and 10, so I don't need to move the decimal, so I move it 0 times. So anytime you don't move the decimal, the power of 10 is 0. And then here I have to move it 5 times, 5.05 times 10 to the 5th power. Great. Now we're going to take a look at the opposite. I'm going to take a minute and write down the rules for if you're taking a number from scientific notation to regular notation in case that you need them. We're just flipping it, but for some students, writing down precise rules makes things a little bit easier. So I'm writing this down, but for a lot of you, you won't really need it. You're just going to move the decimal to the right if the power of 10 is positive, and then to the left if the power of 10 is negative. If you are watching this video and you haven't learned about significant figures yet, do not yet worry about this. 10H students should also be mindful of significant figures. Again, some of you might not have learned about those yet if you're watching this video at the beginning of the year. So let's work through these. So the power of 10 is positive, so I move the decimal to the right 9 times. Then you don't have to put the commas in here. I just find that it makes it easy for me to figure out if I've moved it enough times. The next one, I move the decimal to the left 3 times. So I am including the 0 at the end. That is for significant figures reasons. If you don't know what that is, or you're in the chemistry 10 class, then it would be optional to include that 0 at the end. I wrote it both ways because whether or not you put the 0 before the decimal or not is just a personal preference. I moved the 0 to the right, or the decimal to the right 3 times. So if you are in the 10 class, you do not need to worry about why I put that bar there. If you haven't yet learned about significant figures, you don't need to know why I put that bar there. The next one, I move it to the right 1 time. For the next one, I move it to the right 2 times. And then for my last one, I move the decimal to the left 6 times. So whether or not you put that dot there, that 0 there before the dot is entirely up to you. All right, so I hope that may have clarified some of the any confusion that you may have had. Of course, this is not a substitute for coming for extra help. This is just one additional resource for you to use. Anyway, I really appreciate you watching and have a wonderful night.